The UFO community has never been more active than it is now. Since the last decade, the number of UFO sightings has increased. And now, we are shooting these objects in the air, leaving the whole world to watch them. Even after thousands of UFO cases, including photos and videos, we have no clue who is behind it, as filmmaker Jeremy Corbell claims. It is really shocking and weird that nobody paid attention to former AATIP head Luis Elizondo's statement about UFO occupancy and biological samples. With Kurt Jaimungal on his Theories of Everything podcast in 2021, Elizondo carefully hinted that potentially the US government has acquired otherworldly biological samples. Elizondo spent 20 years as a military intelligence officer in the Pentagon, and during his career, he ran the most secretive UFO program, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. In 2017, after the expose of this secret program, Elizondo whistle-blew many things he had learned about UFOs and possible non-human intelligence. Keeping Elizondo's words in mind, there is a UFO crash incident outside of Edwards Air Force Base involving a contactee survivor with at least one other witness. A large cloud and signs of flames were visible near Edwards Air Force Base in California. Several people stated that they had allegedly seen 3 gray humanoids, as well as a human woman in a strange, tight-fitting pink suit, among the ruins of some wrecked vehicle. However, before anyone knew what had happened, a lot of military trucks and other vehicles arrived and quickly isolated the area. Ufologist Albert Rosales tracked down that mysterious woman in a pink bodysuit, and she agreed to undergo a hypnotherapy session to remember the events of that night. Lorraine claimed that she had been abducted from her home, dressed in pink clothes, and taken to a large ship in Earth orbit for an inspection. She was then put in a smaller ship, the one that crashed and sent back to Earth with several strange creatures. She woke up already in the military hangar. Even stranger, at least according to the hypnosis sessions, while being there, she saw not only military personnel, but also strange creatures with large heads, different from those that took her out of her room. Needless to say, this whole story seems very strange and raises doubts about its veracity. Clayton was baffled when she found no newspaper written about the story, and there was no news about it on TV as well. It was the first case of the only human survivor found at a crash retrieval. Researcher Richard Geldreich Jr. has written details on this case and found the identity of the witness and contactee. Lorraine or Lori was working on her autobiography in 2009, but it never came out. Elizondo is certain about UFO occupancy and recovered alien biological samples. He even gave his candid take on the 1947 Roswell crash in New Mexico, and more in an interview with the Roswell Daily Record. He said he had conversations with so-called graybeards at the Pentagon who had been involved with UAPs since Project Blue Book. It was from these individuals that Elizondo learned what probably occurred at Roswell in 1947. Elizondo said, "These individuals were convinced that the events in New Mexico were not fiction. In fact, that it was very much a real event and that some very exotic material was recovered. And then there was a subsequent effort to try to be very dismissive about what occurred in New Mexico." On UAP phenomenon, Elizondo noted, "This is something we've been dealing with for a long time. Imagine the first person to get on a boat and sail over the horizon. There's stories of sea monsters and krakens that will devour you and destroy your boat. Yet we did it anyways. We did sail and we explored the world. It turns out, 500 years later, there really are sea monsters. We call them the great squid of the Pacific, and great white sharks and whales. Now they're just part of nature and have a scientific name, but those sea monsters still exist. They're there. We just learned to understand them. Maybe this is the same thing. Maybe this is just another expedition over the horizon where we're going to realize what we thought were monsters are really just neighbors."